Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
And now, WTOE Radio Live, brought to you by ThroughOurEyes.org.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life.
Hey, Jerry, how you doing today?
Doing great. I'm looking on the positive. It's the right side. How you doing, Janie?
I'm fabulous. I like laughter. I'm on the light side.
Hey, you know what that means?
I think that means we're always looking on the bright side of life.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life.
I'm so excited. The show is about to begin.
So am I, with my straw hat and cane.
I got my tap shoes on. We're ready to go.
Come on, everybody. It's time for the show.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our December holiday edition. Merry Christmas to all, and to all we should have a good night tonight on the Bright Side with your hosts, Jane Degenshine and
Jerry Moreno. How are you, Jay? I heard you were not naughty, that you were nice this year, and I heard that Santa's very pleased.
He better be. I've been a good girl. I don't know about Mr. Jerry. Have you been a good boy, Jerry?
I've tried, and when I haven't tried, I've tried harder, and I did get a little discouraged, though, because I got a note from Santa saying whether I wanted anthracite or bituminous, and I didn't quite understand that till I looked it up, and those are types of coal.
Oh, that's a good one, Jerry. Which one do you think you're going to get? A little bit of this and a little bit of that?
A little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Well, we have a really festive show tonight.
We
have
do?
a special thing in the second half, which is a slideshow, if you will, with a surprise in it. We may have a visitor, that most special visitor, from the North Pole.
Wow. You know, I called the North Pole the other day. Guess what happened?
You got disconnected? It was too icy?
They said, hello.
Wonderful.
I know.
Oh,
But
you're funny.
do you know that there's a, for some reason.
That's in Alaska.
That's right, Alaska. And Juneau. Juneau.
Yes.
Do you know they have a China Express or a China Star up in North Pole? Chinese restaurant?
What's it called?
I forget. It was like China Express or China Star or something like that. I wanted to ask them if they would order, if they would deliver, but they said it was a little too far.
A little too far, yeah. Well, we're lucky because it's December. It's the holiday season. People are running around trying to remember that they're supposed to be nice to people and not push in line, running for their things to get for Christmas. And we have a special holiday festive show for you. It's going to be a wonderful time. I know we're going to have callers call in. And what? There's one on the line right now.
No. And we didn't even give the number out.
What?
Tell them to hang up and I'll give the number out first.
Aw. Give the number to the regular listening audience.
The number for calling is 1-888-572-0141 or 1-888-572-0141. Caller, are you there?
This is Alice Eddy calling.
Hey, Alice, how are you? Welcome.
Good, good.
Welcome.
Good. Well, Alice is going to be an upcoming guest, right, Alice? What month did we
Yes, ma'am.
decide finally?
March.
March. She's going to be our guest in March, and are you calling to give everybody a tease so they can listen in March?
Sure can.
All right. So give us a little bit about what you're doing and what's happening in your life, doll.
Well, let's see. I recently acquired a new guide dog, and her name is Wanda. She's a black lab.
Oh.
And I recently had an employment placement through the Workforce 55 Plus program, so I'm in the work market, sort of, and training and learning new skills.
Wonderful.
And what else? And I just completed the Meet the Blind Month chairmanship, and we were able to meet our goal as a state affiliate, so that was very good.
Excellent. And what about your new committee?
My new committee is the Deafblind Committee in New Jersey, but I'm also affiliated with the national level Deafblind Division, and I'm working on a committee. We have 10 members at present, both deafblind and SSPs. We're open to anybody that really wants to help. You'd be an associate member at that point, but we'd also been working on a mission statement that we haven't gotten quite together yet, but that's one of our goals because we want to be able to work collaboratively with some other agencies, and that was one of the suggestions, and so that's something we're working on. Soon to have our own conference call number, so that'll be fun. What else?
Good. Can you give contact information, Alice, if there's anybody out there that wants to get in touch with you?
Yes, I'm the chairperson, Alice Eddy, and my phone number is 856-765-0601, or they can email me at A as in Apple, S as in Sam, E as in Eagle, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, J as in Joseph, at netzero, netzero.net, N-E-T.
Terrific. And if you didn't get any of that, you can always wait till March or call Jane or call the station or email us, and we can get you right through to Alice. She is going to be a guest, a whole slot for her to discuss a lot of these issues, much, much more in depth. But I did want her to either call tonight or next month in January, but she jumped right on it and said, I'm calling in December, and she did. So we're grateful that Alice is involved as she is and encouraging as she is to other people to get out there and just start doing, because it's what it's all about. And you feel good about yourself, right, Alice?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Good. Jerry, have anything to say to Alice before we have to sign her off and go to the next segment?
No, just that maybe when you send a portrait of yourself, you can also send one of Wanda for us, so we can put that up on the screen. And I look forward to talking to you in March. It's going to be an exciting show.
Okay, I'll try seeing if I can get you that picture then.
All righty. See you
Alice,
in,
you have a
see
wonderful,
you in
wonderful
see you in
Christmas,
March.
doll. And
Thank
I'll
you.
see you in March is right.
Okay,
Thanks
thank
for
you so
calling,
much.
doll. Terrific. So we're going to go to our first break, and we'll be back in just about 2 minutes. So stay where you are, and we'll be back as soon as 2 minutes are up. Bye.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life.
How would you feel if your children went to school and weren't taught to read? Today, less than 10% of blind children are taught to read Braille. Literacy is a basic right. Learning to read Braille is the key to success. Without it, a blind child doesn't have a chance. For more information on Braille literacy and blindness, contact me, Mark Maurer, President, National Federation of the Blind, 410-659-9314.
Hi, I'm Judy. And my name is Johnny. We're 10 years old and we're blind. Our dreams are to become scientists.
My name is Catherine. I'm 24 years old and I'm blind. I'm currently in law school, and one day I dream of becoming an attorney.
My name is Bill. I'm 74 years old and I've just become blind. My dream is to remain independent in my own home and not have to go to a nursing home just because I'm blind.
The National Federation of the Blind of New York has been helping blind people achieve their dreams since 1956. Help keep their dream machine running and visit blindnewyorkers.org to make a donation. You can also call them at 718-567-7821. Blind people are your neighbors and colleagues, so learn more about blindness and make your contribution today. Go to blindnewyorkers.org or call 718-567-7821. The National Federation of the Blind of New York. Today's dreams can become tomorrow's realities.
Imagine climbing the tallest mountain in the world without ever seeing the path in front of you. Imagine winning a television game show without ever seeing television. I'm Mark Maurer, president of the National Federation of the Blind. With the proper training and opportunity, blind people can become just about anything. Visit our website at www.nfb.org or contact the Federation at 410-659-9314.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life.
Welcome back to the show. And now, here's Janie.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for staying where you are. This segment is about 20 minutes long, and Jerry and I are going to chat a little bit about our Christmases of past times and what we're looking forward to for this Christmas. Before we move to Jerry, I'd like to say my quote for the night. I didn't get a chance to do it in the first segment because we had a caller. And if you want to be bold enough to call in, like Alice, she picked up the phone and called in just to chat. You can call in too at 1-888-572-0141. That's 1-888-572-0141. The quote for tonight has to do with Christmas. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Christmas is not a season. It's a feeling. I like that quote because a lot of people think Christmas is just one day. And the truth of the matter is, it is. It's one day. It's this special day that Christ was born and what it means to people who are Christian. But the feeling of Christmas lasts every day. And try and live that way. Try and be nice to people all the time. You'll find out that it's really a much better life if you can do that. You'll be happier. You might even end up like me. Oh, that's not a good encouragement. Never mind. Forget that. Try and be happy. It's just a great way to live. Jer, what do you think about that quote?
I think that's great. It reminds me of that song that we played last year.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Williams' "Christmas is a what is it? Christmas is a feeling," or
That's
I
exactly
forget the
right.
exact. But I mean, it's really important to realize, and I know, Janie, you and I have talked about this, about how people celebrate, and I use that word, Mother's Day or Father's Day. Well,
Right.
you should be celebrating Mother's Day, Father's Day, 365 days a year, not just one particular day or Valentine's Day. And we have a tendency as human beings and people or whatever we are to we work our way up towards Valentine's Day and we wear red and all of that, and then all of a sudden the 15th of February we're all bumping into each other saying, "Get out of my way," or Christmas or whatever. And I like that because if you can develop that thought that it's something to help someone, like a help day, and make that every day. I think that's very important. That's why I like those angel trees. We got an angel tree here for a senior center. It's for a 72-year-old gentleman. I said to myself, he's only 9 years older than I am.
Aw.
And he wanted gloves and a scarf.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe what I'll do is slip a couple of green bills into the pocket, the thing of the glove or something like that. But before I forget, do you know what 2 weeks from today is?
2 weeks from today is Merry Christmas to you.
And
Is that
3
it?
weeks. That's right. And 3 weeks from today.
Happy New Year, Old Lang Syne. Oh, sorry. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And do you know what we're given? I don't know if you know this or not, but we're giving Lenny a Christmas gift this year. You know what that is?
We're going to be quiet for an hour?
No shows for Christmas. He could take it easy Christmas Eve.
Oh,
and
isn't
New
that
Year's
thoughtful?
Eve.
Oh,
So
hallelujah. What about Lori? Does she have to work?
no. She's looking for the coal for Lenny.
Huh?
But you know what that means?
What?
That means that we're going to do a little shuffling of our schedule, so
Please
that
tell
the
the
first
audience what that
Wednesday.
means for us.
That's right. So the first Wednesday will actually be the 8th, and that will be Cheryl Echeverria travel show.
Right.
So the 15th of January would be On the Bright Side with Janie and
Jerry.
That's right. So for all our
Aw.
listeners out there, the 15th, and then should we tell them or hide it? No, Joe's show will be the 22nd,
Right.
and Linda and Johanna would be the
29th.
29th. So
Looking
folks
good
out there,
without
don't
looking.
forget.
Yep.
And if you want to call in, and we're live now, as live as we'll ever be, 1-888-572-0141. That's 1-888-572-0141. But Janie, you were talking about reminiscences of Christmas.
Yes.
And I think you've noticed this already. When we were growing up, and it's not that long ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago, Christmas came after Thanksgiving. You notice? Now, before Thanksgiving or Halloween is even over, there's Christmas trees in the stores. And we didn't put our Christmas tree up till the last week before Christmas. And Madeline's family, I think they put theirs up Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So what was your tradition? Do you can you remember back that far?
I don't know. I'm a senior citizen. Remember, I'm the president of the senior division. I don't really have a mind. No, I'm only kidding. And our household, our own household at the Ruffalo's at 254 Spruce Street, we used to get a Christmas tree. We started with real Christmas trees, then we went to the fake ones. But we would put it up, probably a week before Christmas. But my grandparents lived in Brooklyn, and we would drive from New Jersey. We were the only family. There were 14 kids. 14 children of my grandparents. So I have 14 aunts and uncles. But growing up, one of them had passed away early. So there were really 13, counting my mom included. So in any event, 12 of them lived in Brooklyn. And only one moved to New Jersey, my mom, because she married my dad. So we had to drive into Brooklyn Christmas Eve. Then we'd sleep over. And Christmas morning, sometimes we'd wake up at Grandpa's. Sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes we'd wake up at home and then drive back in. So my grandfather would get the tiniest little Charlie Brown Christmas tree with one limb on it. And he always bragged, "Oh, Jenny, I got it for $1." No kidding. There's no branches on it. The guy sold you a piece of crap, you know? Oh, my God. It was the tiniest little thing he put on a table and have all decorative cloth there, to try and spruce it up. You can't spruce up certain things. But anyway, we love the fact that it was the ugliest tree, just like Charlie Brown. We'd put a couple of little balls and tinsel on it, and it would sag. Oh, it was so much fun. Yeah, those are great times.
See, I remember, both Madeline's family and my family. I had on my mother's side, I had one uncle, and then we had then she had a half brother, which is the strangest sight to see in the world, and excuse me. And on my father's side, I had two aunts, and that was it. And it didn't have Madeline's father came from 15, and whatever.
Right.
So on Sunday morning, most of the time I would drive with my father to Cliffwood Beach. Now, if anybody out there remembers, it might have been before the Parkway was even built, but since I was 5 in 55 when it was opened, or 56, could have been on the Parkway. But we took 35 to get to our house, Route 35, and we would drive to the pirate ship, and then that's where the jug handle was, and we'd make the turn there. So I'd looking for that pirate ship. It was a real estate agency, but dressed in the shape of a pirate ship, and then we would make the right turn so that we can cross over 35. We drive a little bit, and then we go over this. The best as I can describe it is it's like a little creek where it had two cement walls on either side and big cedar or how would you call it, like not limbs. What do you call those things? Beams going across. Bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. When you went over it, I thought the car was going to go into the water. And we would drive to her house. She had a septic tank. I was told what that was. And she had it was like a crawl space, and the furnace was in the basement. And it had a like a grill over it. And my brothers would tell me that was the devil down there. And the hot air would come up. And I would jump over it. I would never walk over it. And she would give me a Christmas gift. Inevitably, it would be almost the same gift every year, but I didn't care. It was one of those stockings that had plastic on one side and the net on the other.
Oh,
and
yes.
It had the little
Filled.
candies. Yes. Now you get them, you buy them for your dog or your cat. But
yes, exactly.
And the car had wheels but didn't turn. They were
yeah.
just fake. And it was the best Christmas I could remember. Then we'd come home. And then we would eat. And we would eat. And we would eat. And then guess what we did after that?
Eat.
We would eat.
Yes.
And I got more about it as we grew older, and because we're a family of 6. But Janie, tell me, in your childhood, and callers, call in, come on, 1-888-572-0141. In your like your 4s and 5s and 6s when you were in on Spruce Street,
yes,
did Santa Claus visit you?
He did. He really did. And I was so happy. We had stockings, and we have a fireplace there, and Santa would come, and we'd go to bed at night. We'd always leave cookies. My mom's special treat was she used to make the best butter cookies in town, homemade.
Those
worked together, and she always made them into star shapes and Christmas trees. And if she made the stars, Rose and I got to put the little chocolate morsels right in the middle, and then my mother would say, "This cookie dough says it's batch says it's supposed to yield 6 dozen." So that's how I learned when I was 5 years old what 6 times 12 is 72 cookies, and yield means a make. I didn't know what
that's right.
Yield is a sign when you're driving,
That's
but
right.
anyway,
Upside down triangle.
We'd count the stuff, and we'd invariably end up with like 42 cookies. So my mom would be like, "Well, what happened?" And then we'd check. Joe and Richard would eat the dough while it was in the refrigerator chilling.
Wow.
Can you believe that? They would sneak in and take half the dough out. And they never got coal.
They're naughty.
They were naughty. But they said the cookie dough was good. We caught them once, and they're like, "No, we're not doing anything." And they had a whole big mouth.
Hey, that was a good Rich, by the way.
Did it? Well, we're not doing anything.
Yeah. My sister used to make knot cookies. Well, what were they?
Yeah.
They were knot cookies.
Believe it or not. No.
My sister Connie used to make candy canes, the rum ball, I think they call them. Pinwheel, which was like a date nut. And I think she made like a chocolate chip. And then as the years progressed, she knew we were going to ask, and she would have like a care package for each of her brothers and my other sister.
That's nice.
And it's hard that the candy cane, because it's the white and the red dough. You have to roll it together and then mix it and all of that. And but what would happen is my mother's birthday was Christmas Day.
Oh.
And what we would do when we were a lot smaller family, and I don't mean in weight, I mean in people, we would have dinner, like a third or 2 or 3 or 4 of the siblings would eat, and the other 2, who were probably the oldest ones, would go to their in-laws. And then around 6 or 7 o'clock, we'd all come over and sing happy birthday to Mom.
Aww.
I mean, the place was crowded. I mean, you couldn't need, Then as we grew older, we would have the Christmas Eve and make the traditional fish dinner. And then we would have birthday for my mother there. And then the next day, people who didn't go on the Christmas Eve would go on Christmas Day and go to my sister's house or my brother's children's house. We used to alternate. And that's how we would do it. And we would eat. Always eating. Did you notice that?
It's an Italian pastime, I think. In our house, what we used to do is, I like to make up songs. You know that. So every year we made up a song, and if you knew my dad, he always got the junkiest cars. And so one time he bought himself a Pinto. It lasted about 6 months, and he said, "Guys, I bought a new car. What did you get? A Pinto." That lasted another 6 months. I got another car. He got 3 Pintos in a row, and everyone died on the 6-month anniversary. So
Wow.
that Christmas, I wrote a song, and the title was "Wreck is what we call Papa Joe's car," instead of "Deck the halls with boughs of holly."
Right.
Wreck is what we call Papa Joe's car. La 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 la. It will not get us very far. La la la. I don't remember all the words, but my father loved it.
We
He said, "You can
drive
sell it.
down
You
the
can sell
street.
it."
We'll have to use our feet. My father had Studebakers like that. 2 Studebakers in a row, and do you remember the mosquito people coming to kill the mosquitoes with the little Jeep?
No, I'm much younger than you, Jerry.
Oh, it's
I
only
really
a couple.
don't remember that.
The mosquito patrol used to come around with this little Jeep, and we used to drive our bicycles through the fog. I mean, it was like, little did we know it was DDT, and his car was like that. When you saw it coming down the street, you thought he was trying to exterminate all the mosquitoes.
Oh.
But we and then after we got married in 1973, Madeline's she had a great aunt that lived real close to us, and we would visit her.
Right.
And she was alone, and Aunt Mary, Zia Maria, and then her Aunt Kay lived close to us, and we would visit her. Now she had family, and so there was always somebody there for her. But we would just try to go around and back then, I keep on saying back then, like back in the olden days,
Yeah. Well, it is for you. I mean.
But we used to do. See if you used to do this. We used to do a lot of our shopping in Bloomfield Center.
Oh yeah.
Grant's,
and Woolworths. Yeah.
And one of the highlights, I don't know why, but one of the highlights of walking around, going from cold store into the warm store, was to stop at the counter at Woolworths and have a hot dog and a hot chocolate.
Oh, you're so funny. I knew it had to do with food. Jerry, you're funny.
Right.
So if I asked you, Jerry, we only have 2 minutes to break, by the way. So if I asked you, what sense, not CENTS, SENSE, not common either, not common sense.
I don't have that.
What sense do you use more at Christmas time? Taste, touch, hearing, keep going, sight. Which ones would you use? Which ones do you enjoy the most?
Oh, I thought I was going to say I smell.
You do smell, but I mean, other than you specifically, what sense makes Christmas?
I like the smells of Christmas. Do you remember going into romance store?
I do, with all those nice mason jars filled with everything. Yes.
Yeah, and when you went downstairs in the basement,
yes.
you passed all of that, then you went to the. I know you're gonna laugh. You went to the place where you buy your hot chocolate and the big cookie. But they had the elderberry, the pine scent.
Yep.
And you walk past the freshly fallen snow that has that not Christmas, but crispness in the air. And I tell you, when we put up the Christmas tree this week, and it was brand new. We didn't cut it down, but the man cut it down. And, it just brought me back like if I was on a magic carpet ride,
It's beautiful.
What about you?
Well, I'm going to tell you mine in the second half.
I gotta
It's
wait.
Teaser. You have to wait. So you can figure out which one. It's not smells, because I'm going to let Jerry take that one. I'll pick one of the others.
Yeah, I
But
smell better.
You do smell wonderful.
I mean, I
especially
smell
from
more.
here in my house. You smell great. I don't know
I
about being
smell
in
more.
North Carolina with you. But in any event, stay where you are. We're going to go to a commercial break, a little 4-minute segment where we'll take a couple of minutes to get our act together here and get some stuff ready for podcasting. So you sit where you are, and we'll be back after the break with a memory lane and a beautiful clip. So make sure you sit still during memory lane and the next clip, It's a beautiful story and some wonderful slideshows. So stay where you are. We'll be back in about 4 minutes.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life.
Alert, abducted child, African American girl, 6 years old. Suspect, Caucasian male, 30 to 35, 6 feet, 180 pounds, wearing blue shirt, black jeans.
Now when an Amber Alert is issued,
White van, out-of-state license, X-ray 687 Charlie.
you can get the same information the authorities get right on your cell phone. Sign up for free at wirelessamberalerts.org. When an Amber Alert is issued in the areas you've chosen, you'll receive a free text message. If you spot the vehicle, the suspect, or the child described in the alert, call 911. Sign up today at wirelessamberalerts.org. Think of it. Something as simple as a free text message could free an abducted child.
All units, Amber Alert canceled. Child recovered safely. Suspect is in custody. Repeat, Amber Alert canceled.
wirelessamberAlerts.org. A child is calling for help. This message brought to you by the Wireless Foundation, the U.S. Department of Justice, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the Ad Council.
It slices, it dices, with razor-like edges that never need sharpening. It's not a blender. It's not a set of steak knives. It's car windshield. And now it can be yours. Here's how. Next time you're in a car and the driver's driving recklessly, simply say nothing. That's right. Let them change CDs. Let them text on their phones. Ignore that little voice in your head that's trying to warn you. And you too can experience car windshield. Passengers who have tried car windshield agree. It's a smash. Car windshield may not be for everyone, as it can lead to severe side effects and even death. Please consult your physician after you've experienced car windshield. Passengers who wish to avoid car windshield can do so by following simple steps, like trusting their instincts, speaking up, and telling their friends to slow down.
In the real world, there is no spokesperson to prevent reckless driving. There's only you. Speak up.
Act now. Paramedics are standing by.
This has been a message from the Ad Council. For more information, go to youarethespokesperson.com.
Mommy, you sure take the time and do a lot just to keep me safe. Knee pads, baby gates, corner cushions, socket covers, and that fancy car seat for big girls like me. Where'd you find that thing?
The odds of a child being in a fatal automobile accident? 1 in 23,000. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 150. You know the odds of autism. Now learn some of the signs. No big smiles or other joyful expressions by 6 months. No back and forth sharing of sounds or facial expressions by 9 months. And no babbling by 12 months. To learn more of the signs and more about autism, visit autismspeaks.org.
So, Mom, while you're remembering to protect me from the unthinkable, don't dismiss the possible.
Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Nothing inspires imagination like reading. And it's never too early to start reading to your children. When you open a book, you can explore new worlds like the ones in the Chronicles of Narnia.
Everything you see is Narnia.
Impossible.
You can make new friends, discover amazing adventures, and most of all, have fun.
Are you prepared for what awaits you?
To find out more about the wonders of reading, you can visit the Library of Congress website at www.loc.gov. There, you can learn more about books, play fun games, discover cool facts, and so much more. You can log on to www.loc.gov and let your journey begin. This message has been brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. Memory lane. Memory lane.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas would soon be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced through their heads, while Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Way to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon, on the breast of the new-fallen snow, gave a luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen. On, Comet, on, Cupid, on, Dunder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke of it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his fingers aside his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
Well, I hope you enjoyed that rendition of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." And also, for those of you that have sight, there was a wonderful slideshow from Jerry and Janie's former times. Jer, what did you think of that?
I thought it was nice. There was a picture of Macy's storefront right before I broke the window. No, I'm not kidding. Macy's storefront, and pictures of grandchildren and family members, and it was just time. But Janie, do you know who was reciting "'Twas the Night Before Christmas"?
Was it Dr. Jernigan?
It was Dr. Jernigan from many years ago.
Oh, he has a beautiful voice. Are you looking to the left, Jerry? I was told to tell you to look a little.
How's
go to
that?
his left. Go to your left. Is that better, sir? You got the word from the maestro that it's good. So
okay,
keep looking
that was Santa
direction,
himself telling me, right? Because he wants to know whether I'm naughty or nice. Because I want to. I hope I can talk to Santa, because I really want to know whether I'm been naughty or nice.
I can tell him you've been very nice to me.
Oh, well, that's nice.
That's
then there's no
because
penalty for lying either, is there?
I hope not. Would you like to know what my favorite sense is for the holidays?
What?
Sounds.
Really? Oh, I like sounds too.
I love it. I love the sounds. Oh my goodness. Bells ringing. I love, oh my God, children singing. Oh, the sweetness of their voices. What? I got what I wanted. I'm going to be a good girl. I love all that stuff.
Bells are ringing, children singing.
Yes.
Back
You never
to
know.
Robert Hall again. But for those of you that want to call in, it's 1-888-572-0141. And you think he's too busy tonight?
He really has a lot of work to do. I mean, it's only 2 weeks, you said.
You know, and he is getting a lot older. Uh-oh.
Wait a minute. You hear anything?
Wait. Is that the Good Humor Man?
Jerry, you and food. What is it with you and food? Wait a minute. Oh, there's a caller. Caller, are you there? Yes!
Boys and girls, it's the Easter Bunny. Of course, it's Santa Claus.
Oh, Santa, thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, young girl, my pleasure.
Young girl.
I heard part of the show earlier, and Jerry, I remember you in Grants in Bloomfield Center.
You do?
I was Santa Claus today when I was breaking into the Santa Claus mode, and I had a break, and I tried to find you. You left your coloring book behind, and I didn't know where to find you, and someone said, try the lunch counter. You were there eating a hot dog and hot chocolate.
That's right. So Santa, Santa, have you visited New Jersey lately?
Oh, you know I have.
Where'd you go?
Remember that? Yes. Oh, I love New Jersey. Love New Jersey. There's 2 towns in New Jersey I just love.
Where?
Hoboken and Hohokus.
I thought you liked Lake Ho-Ho-Ho-Ho-Pakong.
I was on the corner today. Never mind. That's a bad joke. Never mind. Santa Claus almost lost his voice there for a moment.
So what are the kids, Santa? What are the kids asking for this year?
Well, there's one little boy from Fairlawn. I think his name is Lenny Azarone. He wants a fire truck. And he wants new computers.
Wow.
New computers so he can do his show. Oh, Lenny's been a good boy all year. Well, I don't know about all year. Oh, that hurt.
I know. So you're really busy now, huh? How's the weather at the North Pole?
Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
I knew it.
But, you know, Jerry, I remember you when you were a little boy, and I would come to your house despite the fact that your mother would put out a meatball sub for me, and I went there, and it was always gone.
And you know what? She made the
under
best
the tree,
meatballs.
and I checked your room. You had sauce all over your face.
Jerry, and you still gave him a toy after that?
I gave it to him. Jerry was the only boy in this town that got the Betty Crocker bake oven.
Yeah. Well, he used to give me all kinds of toys. I remember the police car with the siren that didn't work, and the dump truck with the 3 wheels, and.
Well, the reason why I gave you the siren, the police. the reason why I gave you the police car with the siren, because when you got older, you were riding in a real police car.
I resemble that remark.
I heard you before, Mr. Jerry, talking about Christmas and eating, and then gifts and eating, and then television and eating. And I know you're not lying, because look at your belly.
So, Sam, how's Mrs. Claus doing?
Mrs. Claus is fine. You know, that reminds you of something. What does Saint Nick and a lobster have in common?
Saint Nick and a lobster. They
both have Sandy Claus.
I got it. Do I get an extra prize in my presents?
Oh, wait, is that Jane?
Yes.
Phone, Jane, phone. Oh, your brothers, Rich and Joe. What a character. Joe was much nicer than Richard.
I don't know if you heard this.
Tell you the truth, I couldn't stand either one of them. I liked Rob better.
Oh,
you don't need to cry.
Santa, did you know that my brothers ate most of our butter cookie dough? So when it said yield 6 dozen, we only got less than 4 dozen, and they didn't own up to it. They were caught with it in their mouth, and they just kept saying, "We don't know what you're talking about."
They were very considerate. They were. because they knew Santa was getting a little bit too heavy, so they did me a favor by eating the cookies. So Rich and Joe were very kind to eat the cookies. And I think your mom used to make butter cookies, if I remember correctly.
She did. They were wonderful.
Delicious. Hold on. Rudolph, knock it off. No carrots until later. Now, Jerry, before you talk about smell and sight and hearing and taste and touch during the Christmas season, my favorite is when Rudolph does his droppings. And I could smell them a mile away. So bad joke. Forget that one.
I know. Drop that one.
Now,
drop
now,
it.
is there a young girl there named Lori?
There is a woman named Lori that works.
Lori's working the phones. Well, Lori is one of the nicest people you ever wanted to meet. Now, did you ever meet her?
No.
If you haven't, well, then you haven't met one of the nicest persons in the whole world.
Aww.
Lori has got a heart of gold, and she's got to get everything she wants for Christmas. And that is some Excedrin, because she works with Lenny all the time. Migraine City, young lady. Migraine City. At night, Lori, have a nice drink. Nice, warm drink of Geritol. Oh, brother.
You're doing really good.
Geritol will work if she's working with Jerry. Geritol. Oh, never mind. That's
Geritol! Very good. Excellent. But I want to give a holiday wish, a Merry Christmas wish to all our boys and girls out there. It's one day of the year, but try to think of Christmas every day of the year. How can you help other people? How can you give of yourself to others? How can you help and make this a better planet to live on? One way is every Wednesday night is to listen to Through Our Eyes. What a plug that was. But seriously, life is so short. It's very meaningful to give of yourself to others. And if you do that, it'll be Christmas in your heart and soul every day.
That's a nice message.
That's right. Santa. And the size that you are, Santa, there's a lot for you to give away.
I got a talking scale, and I got on it, and it said, get off, one at a time.
One at a time. That's funny.
Jerry.
And you know what? Santa wants to thank Debbie Azarone, too, for her lovely time that she allows her husband, Lenny, to do these shows. So, Debbie, if you're listening, thank you. And thank you for giving up your time for us to have Lenny do what he does best, and that is not to aggravate you.
I heard she locks him in the basement.
Santa Claus is, Santa Claus will be, there's a guy named Joe Ruffalo. Next week he'll have a show on about crafters, and then in January he hopes to have on Dr. Mark Maurer to talk about the year-end in review. He's working on that right now, I think.
And, and do you remember what day your show will be on? I mean, not your show. I mean, Joe's show. The 22nd, right?
Right. Absolutely.
22nd, that's right.
Yep.
All right.
One of the first Santa Clauses was Eddie McMahon on the Johnny Carson show. He would go, hi-ho! So he was one of my favorites.
He goes,
Jerry, what do you want for Christmas, Jerry?
Well, I was looking for a Lionel train set, but they don't make Lionel train sets anymore. Then I think I'd like one of those rifleman rifles with the I got one of those last 20, 30 years ago, like one of them. But that's it. I
couldn't believe you didn't say anything about food.
What's that about, Jerry?
Food goes without saying.
And Jane, what would you like for Christmas?
I have everything I need, so I would love for you to give whatever you were going to give me to someone else.
A headache.
Oh, no, I really have everything I need. Because I listened to you last year. When you were on our show last year, you encouraged me to make a difference and to make every day count. And I live like that because of what you said to me. And so therefore, I feel happy all the time. And I don't need a thing to make me happy. I'm just internally, inside, happy. So I don't need to have a special thing to make me happy. I just am.
Very nicely said. Very nicely said. When you said make every day count, that's what Jerry does too. He counts all the calories he eats every day. I think Santa's got to go now because your show is just about ending, I believe. But boys and girls, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. It's been a very quick 2013. The years just fly by. Every day is a meaningful day. Every day, do the best you can. And remember these famous words. Hot dog and hot chocolate are Jerry's favorites. Good night, boys and girls.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Santa.
Thank you, Santa.
Jerry,
You're
I'm gonna
welcome,
ask you
boys
to
and
take
girls.
over
You're
for
welcome.
just a second.
Have a great show.
Okay.
Thank you, Santa. Bye.
Bye, Santa.
I'm going to ask you to take over for 1 second. I just heard that my battery is low, which means my plug went out, and I don't want to lose the connection. So I'll bear with you just a second. Take over.
Well, if we have time, our phone number for people to call in is 1-888-572-0141. And
Jerry,
yes?
you have look a little bit to your left again.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you have another caller if you'd like to take that.
Oh, we have another caller. Caller, come in. What is your name? Hello, caller. It's Marcel Marceau. Hello.
She's on the line.
Oh,
Yes, she dropped.
signal. Well, I hope she calls back. Oh, well. Janie back yet? Well, let's talk about Christmas. One of my favorite things to do during Christmas when I was a young little kid was go to Newark downtown. That's before they had malls and things like that. And all the stores had the windows dressed with all different kinds of things, and you would go in, and I remember my mom taking me up to, I don't know what floor, the 7th floor or 6th floor of Bamberger's, which is now Macy's, and we would go there, and I would stand in line, and I'd see Santa Claus, and then after that, we'd get a gift, and I always wondered, look at all those gifts there, and they're only giving me one gift. What are you going to do?
All right, Jerry, we could try that caller again.
Hello, caller.
Question. I have a question.
Who are you first?
My name is Madeline. I wanted to know.
Hi, Madeline.
Hi. Is Lenny on the good side of Santa or in the bad side?
Oh, Lenny's on the good side because if he was on the bad side, one little pull of the plug, and I wouldn't be talking right now.
Uh-huh.
So is that the famous Madeline Marino, the wife of the Jerry of Janie and Jerry?
Yes.
You didn't call me because it's time to take the garbage out, did you?
No, that was yesterday.
Oh, that was yesterday. What did I forget?
Did you remember to do it yesterday?
That's right. No, I did it yesterday.
Oh,
so how you
good.
doing? Did you have a nice Christmas season so far?
Yes, so far.
Huh?
What are you
I'm
looking
just
say hello to
waiting
Janie?
for my diamonds and my minks to come.
Ah.
Uh-oh.
She likes to
Santa might
dream a
bring
lot.
me some minks.
She likes to dream a lot, Janie.
She does.
Yeah.
I don't know, Madeline. That's hefty stuff.
Well,
So-
you ask. You
Gotta dream
can't
big,
lose
right,
by
Madeline?
asking.
That's
Right?
right. So what do you want for Christmas, Madeline? Santa was just here. We could have asked him.
Well, I like just to have peace and to make my husband happy.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I like that. Did she say peace or pizza? I didn't quite catch that.
Peace.
Oh,
Peace.
peace.
Not pizza.
No,
and
she said
quiet.
peace.
That's my
P-E-A-C-E, not P-I-E-C-E.
Peace and quiet.
Peace and
That's it.
quiet. Well, you never have peace and quiet with me around, right, Madeline?
That's
you
right,
enjoy our
and I'll
trip
never
to-
have it with the Ruffalos either.
I know, you're right.
Madeline, remember the restaurant we saw when we went up to?
Here we go again. Food. Go ahead.
No, we were passing by. We didn't stop in. We passed by a restaurant on our way to get to our Christmas tree, and the name of the restaurant was Papa Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were looking for a Mama Rose next to it, but there wasn't one. Did you enjoy your cutting down of the Christmas tree, Madeline?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't
Good.
enjoy all the mud.
There was snow there, but it had melted.
Mm-hmm.
So of course my son had to take go to the side of the road where all the snow was, pick it up, and what did he do, Madeline? He threw the snowball at us.
Yeah, of course.
But the window was up. All right, Madeline, you gonna go back to sleep now, or what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I think I'll go to sleep now.
All right. Well, have good dreams, honey, and I hope you get everything you want. Including
by the way,
staying married to Jerry.
Make me a cup of tea with honey.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot. Oh, she's so sweet.
Thanks.
So, thank you, Madeline.
Bye-bye.
Happy holiday, doll.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
So we have about 5 minutes left to the show, Jerry, and I really would love to do a very quick book corner.
Oh, I forgot about the book corner.
Yeah, I didn't.
Go ahead.
We're going to be doing these 2 books next week at our Echo Book Club. The first one is called The Christmas Shoes. This is the best one of the 2. The Christmas Shoes was by Donna Van Leer, and it's a beautiful story. It's very short, 4 hours, and it's a story about 2 different families. One family is the husband is always trying to buy things and get things and move to the top in law and the firm, and he wants to be a partner, and he buys so many things, and he's got to work so many hours. In the firm, you're never home, and he really loses track of what the meaning is all about, of being married to someone and loving someone, not loving things. And he goes to a store Christmas Eve because he hasn't bought a thing for his family. He has 2 girls, 8 and 6. He doesn't even really know what they like. It's kind of sad when your father doesn't know what you're even playing with when you think about it. And he runs into a little boy. The little boy's story talks about him and his teacher, and the teacher is so concerned about him. He's 7 or 8. I think he's in 3rd grade. His name is Nathan, and he always has sad eyes now, always sad eyes. And we find out in the beginning of the story that his mother is dying of cancer, and he doesn't know what to buy her. He doesn't have a clue. So his teacher tells him of a story that she got her mother when her mother was ill, the most beautiful shoes with beads. So he saves up his money and he goes to the store, and he's looking to buy those shoes with the beads on them, and he finds a pair. And he gets online and he finds out that the shoes are $14.95, and all he has is $4.95. And he turns to the gentleman behind him, which happens to be, surprise, surprise, the man who doesn't know his kids. And he says, "Can you help me?" And I'll leave it at that. The story is called The Christmas Shoes, and there's a sequel to it called The Christmas Blessing. I would highly encourage it for all readers. It's really geared for 5th to 8th grade, but it's really a wonderful story. I was crying my eyes out. It's beautifully written and well-deserved. So that's that one. And the other book I was going to tell you about was The Perfect Christmas. It's a whimsical tale by Debbie McComber. It's about a woman who decides she's tired of being alone, and she's 34, and so she wants to get married to the perfect husband. And she goes to this specialist in matchmaking, and he says, "I can find you a special husband, but you have to complete 3 tasks." And he tells her the 3 tasks to do. And each task that she does is supposed to be easier than the next. One of the tasks is she's going to go on the corner and ring the bell. Here we go. And have people put money in her little tub, her red tub. And one of the kids gets sick. Another kid does something else. A lady thinks her interactions with people in that book. It's a very humorous tale. So very different. And that one's called The Perfect Christmas by Debbie McComber. But if you only have time to read one, get The Christmas Shoes. It's beautiful. That's my book corner for tonight.
And that sounds so great. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume the Christmas Shoes, they also made a song about that, remember?
They did. That's what this book is based on.
Wow.
It's based on the song and the movie, and we have 30 seconds. So the powers that be tell me. So, Jerry, you have 15 of those to say your good nights.
Say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you on the 15th, and we're going to have a great time. And I guess we'll eat a lot.
Yeah. And we'll smell a lot and sing a lot and laugh a lot. There you go. But enjoy the minutes, the moments, make those days special. Have a wonderful, happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year, and may it be good for all of us. Stay tuned to WTOE. We have lots of new things coming up in the new year, and we want you to be a part of it with us. Be safe, be well, Merry Christmas. See you in January. Good night.
Bye.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life.
All words, ideas, and content expressed on The Bright Side are solely those of Jane Degenshine and Jerry Marino,
and not necessarily those of the National Federation of the Blind, the Northeast New Jersey chapter, or WTOE Internet Radio Network.
If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing. When you're feeling in the dumps, down with silly chumps, just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. Hey, always look on the bright side of life. Come on guys, cheer up. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. Worst things happen at sea, you know. Always look on the bright side of life. I mean, what you gonna lose, you know? You come from nothing, you're going back to nothing. What have you lost? Always look on the bright side of life.
Hi, this is Joe Rello of WTOE Radio. If you are a resident in New Jersey and would like to join one of our chapters or have some more information about our chapters, please contact me at 973-743-0075 or email me at nfbnj@yahoo.com.
Advertise your events on internet radio and podcast free. Need to advertise your club or organization's next event? Whether it's one announcement or different ones weekly or monthly, now you can. ThroughOurEyes.org, using our WTOE radio live broadcast and our podcast, give you the ears of the world. You can take advantage of our free offer in one of two ways: recording your announcement on your computer or calling our toll-free telephone number. Visit our website to learn more. Are you stuck in front of your computer listening to our shows? Well, you may be happy to know that you don't have to be anymore. Hi, this is Keith Zalley, your announcer here at WTOE Radio. Of course, you know we broadcast live on throughoureeyes.org, but did you know we simulcast on Facebook, Ustream.tv, as well as all of our show's host websites? And now you don't have to be stuck trying to catch your favorite show on your computer. You can listen or even watch our shows live right on your smartphone or iPad. During broadcast nights, just point your phone or iPad browser to our mobile site, m.throughoureeyes.org, and click on the Listen or Watch Live link. WTOE also offers many smart apps for your iPhone, BlackBerry, Android, Windows Mobile, or Nokia phones, iPads too, all for free. Visit our main site, www.throughoureeyes.org/appstores.html, and download your free app today. Hi, I'm Keith Zalley, your announcer here at throughoureeyes.org. Thanks for tuning in to WTOE Radio's live broadcast. Our recording session will start shortly. While you are waiting, I'd like to ask all our listeners who have not yet registered at Through Our Eyes to consider doing so. Registering helps us ascertain whom our listeners are, where they come from, if they are blind or visually impaired, as well as other important information which helps us guide us in providing programming that will meet our visitors' needs. I urge all our listeners to register today. It's free and only takes a minute to complete the process. Please read our privacy policy so you can be assured that the information you provide stays with us and only us, and you'll never get any unwanted emails. Well, we're almost ready to begin. Since what you are about to listen to is live, after each recording of the show, you'll hear approximately 15 minutes of music. This is the time we are contacting our next guest for the next show. When the show starts, you'll hear it in its entirety. Our recording sessions usually comprise 3 separate shows, each about 15 to 20 minutes in length, with approximately 15 minutes between each session. So once again, thanks for listening to WTOE Radio Live. Our recording session will start momentarily. I'm Keith Zalley. Next hour, join Steve and his guests as they talk about topics geared to educate and inform his audience. Listen as Steve brings his unique experiences as an author, business leader, teacher, and law enforcement professional to the conversation. Together with outstanding guests, Steve asks the questions that make a difference in his listeners' lives. You're guaranteed to be better off after you listen to the Kovacs Perspective than before his show started. So, sit back, relax, and see what his show can do for you.
Welcome to the Kovacs Perspective, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Steve Kovacs. The Affordable Care Act, or otherwise known as Obamacare, is here. It's upon us. You know, some are happy, some are sad, some are downright angry. There are stories of people who have responsibly for years had health insurance, they paid for it and planned for it, and since this act, they've been dropped or their insurance rates have skyrocketed. Some people, however, are saying the opposite, really, of that. They're saying that insurance companies not being able to deny coverage now for someone with a pre-existing health condition, as an example, or not being able to cap how much they'll pay for certain illnesses is just simply fantastic for some people and helps so many. Well, is the Affordable Care Act truly affordable, or is it a terrible act that may cause much more trouble than America has ever had in the healthcare arena? That's what our first half of our show is going to be all about. Great topic to discuss. Our second guest is an author and pastor who will share the story of his wife's sexual abuse at the hands of her father, who also was a pastor. This is a type of story we've heard way too much and too often, haven't we, ladies and gentlemen? Men of the cloth sexually abusing. Let's listen to a pastor, husband of a victim, tell their story and tell us their views. They have a great book that we all need to hear about. Great topics in the wings right behind us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
We'll be right back with Steve and his guests right after these few messages.
is a hero? Are heroes born, or are they made? In after-school programs, your kids will uncover hidden strengths, discover they have the power to change their future, and find the hero inside themselves. Let us know you on after-school programs in your area. Call 1-800-USA-LEARN. After-school programs, helping kids find the hero within.
Melting polar ice was a dirty look. Shrinking glaciers, a nudge. Dying forests, they were a tap on the shoulder. We got a finger in our chest from the rising sea level, and a sharp poke in the ribs from recent wildfires in Alaska. Then dying coral reefs and eroding coastlines pushed us hard. The drowned polar bears, that was a shove. Melting permafrost, that was a slap. Rising ocean temperatures and extreme weather, an uppercut. Then record-breaking heat waves hit us right where it hurts. Has it occurred to anyone that maybe the Earth is trying to get our attention?
We can still reduce greenhouse gas pollution before it's too late. To find out how, go to fightglobalwarming.com. Brought to you by Environmental Defense, the Robertson Foundation, and the Ad Council.
I can listen. I can cook.
Good. I can coach.
Kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
I can drive.
I can paint.
I can dance.
A little of your time can make a lifetime of difference.
I can read.
I can help. You can help. Call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313 to find out about community drug prevention programs.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
And now back to the Kovacs Perspective.
Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Steve Kovacs. Our first guest is a medical doctor and an author, not in the realm just of his latest book. He's written in the past. He is a medical doctor, as I've mentioned, and he's managed and owned healthcare clinics. We're going to talk about a topic that's everywhere, and we have people on different sides of the fence, and it's not only two sides of the fence on this issue, is not, at least not what I'm seeing. I used to see people against it and for it. Now I'm seeing people really against it, people that liked it in the beginning or before it even took to fruition. They're starting to not like it, and I see people really against it, and so bad, I mean, adamant, kind of against it, for it. It's really jumbled up. I want to be enlightened, and let's see if we could all be enlightened by listening to our guest, who is the author of Obamacare, Dead on Arrival. Mark Davis, medical doctor, my friend. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me on your show. Really
It's a pleasure, Mark. Do me a favor, Mark, and I am unquestionably not an expert on this topic, and there's so much out there, and there was, and I don't want to make this a political discussion at all. I want to talk about the facts of the act, but there was some politician said before it passed, we have to read it before we have to pass it before we know what's in it. I mean, that's how crazy it is for, I guess, some politicians. Well, I'm not a politician. That's not what I do all day. So I need expertise. Tell me what the Affordable Care Act was supposed to be.
The Affordable Care Act was supposed to increase access to all Americans and non-Americans, apparently, to health care. Pre-existing conditions were excluded under many traditional policies, and Obamacare was supposed to allow those policies to fade away and new policies through the exchanges to come to force, where you have total care through government exchanges. The policy itself would have nearly unlimited access, unlimited medications, basically unlimited care. In reality, that does not happen, and as a result, what you see now, disaster in the exchanges is occurring. The CARE Act itself will implode under its own weight because it cannot deliver on the advertised message. The government is saying you're going to have improved health care, and we all see that right now.
Okay, Dr. Davis, let me stop you right there because you really explained it how I was you answered my question, which was great. You didn't dance around. You exactly answered it. And this is what I want to ask you from this point. These are the things that it's supposed to have done. Now, let me ask you a question. Aren't all those things that you just mentioned that they were supposed to do, aren't those good things if it would be possible to do those things?
Theoretically, yes. In practicality, it does not happen, because if you're giving one person everything, somebody else has to get nothing. You have to ask yourself, what are you exchanging your money for? If you're paying more money for a policy than you would have under the traditional policy, should you be getting more, but you don't get more? And then that's basically it. It's a shallow policy, and the advertised special from the Obama administration is we have improved health care doesn't really exist under the parameters for which they set, not the doctors. So you have less access to your physician, you'll have less therapeutics, you'll have, trying to get into a hospital, perhaps you'll have to be in the higher end of the financial world to get in there, because there'll be penalties against hospitals for re-admitting patients, for admitting too many patients, for keeping patients too long in the hospital, as one example, from over-medicating them. Obamacare has more penalties and sanctions than it does have health initiatives, so it doesn't deliver on its promise. Theoretically, everybody should have everything, but in practicality, everybody cannot have everything. Somewhere, somebody has to cut something, and that's what eventually Obamacare does, and we see that now happening. People losing their policies. As you know, 5 million people already have lost their policies. Only a few 100,000 have signed up to with the exchanges, and those people don't even know if they have policies. We don't
Doctor,
even know
Doctor, let me stop you. Is it true that 5,000 people have lost their coverage?
Put it this way, the media is one-dimensional. What's happened? They're looking at the beach, and the tidal wave is about to come on them, and they're not talking about that. They're talking about the beach itself. So when the tidal wave comes, people will wake up, and it doesn't matter what their politics are. It's a very destructive piece of legislation, and we should have read it before we signed it, but we didn't, obviously. So here we are right now on the other side of it, and a Supreme Court decision which was wrong. And so we don't get everything that's been promised to us.
Okay.
It's very sad.
Okay. Mark, two questions, and I'm using a program called Skype, so we can't talk over each other, or we'll be terrible. We'll just be goofy all together here, and we don't want to do that. You did mention that 5,000 people have already lost their coverage. Is that factual?
No, 5 million people have lost their coverage, and only a few 100,000 people have signed up on the exchanges. The dichotomy is obvious. We're losing people off the insurance. The very thing that the insurance under Obamacare is supposed to do is the antithesis. We're losing more people than are gaining under this thing. So that's a bad thing.
Dr. Davis, that's factual? 5 million men, women, and children in America have lost their coverage since this act is...
Mostly through work. You've been phased out of work. Whole companies have told their people to go to the exchanges. UPS, as an example. Regal Cinemas employs tens of thousands of people. They're losing their insurance. In fact, they've cut their hours of their full-time employees from 40 to 29, so they don't need to be covered. So the employees have to go somewhere else, and the only somewhere else is those exchanges, and then they haven't signed up yet. So people are losing their policies, and very few people are gaining anything at this point in time.
Mark, I have a friend, and his wife is a doctor at a hospital that most consider the best or one of the best hospitals in the country. I don't want to take it too further, but she's a specialist, and she's renowned, and she used to be a missionary. She's really a good person. The reason I bring that up is she's not a money grubber. She really cares about her people, her patients. I mean, I know her. And when you talk to her, she really cares and works her fingers to the bone. And I asked her about Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, and she has no political point here. I mean, she's not thinking about politics. She's thinking about what's going to work. And she said it won't work. She told me this before it became an act, became a law. She said it's great. I mean, we have problems with our system, but it's just not going to work. And she pretty much said what you were saying, But we didn't have that long of a discussion that, we'd like to give to everybody, but the way it's set up now, it's just not going to work. And if it's factual, Mark, that 5 million existing insurance policies have been canceled, dropped, and they've been told to go to the exchanges, that's it's shocking to me, and I want to go further on that. Now, here's the question, and I know a little bit of this just because I've watched on television that the website wasn't working and people who tried to get on couldn't get on. I'm assuming that's getting a little bit better, but I want to get to it. We only have like 20 more minutes, Mark. So I want to know, will anybody save money on this? Will anybody save money on their health insurance now?
Presently, what we understand is most traditional policies have increased anywhere from a few percentage points to 100% under Obamacare. Why? Because there are more restrictions in there. There are more requests from the government to supply certain items into the insurance policy. I understand only 2 states now, the prices have come down a few percentage points in terms of purchase. So we see it as a problem in terms of finances. The algorithm on which Obamacare is based shows that many young people have to buy into the system in order to pay for the people on the other end. So you don't see a drop in price. You see an actual exponential increase in price. So if you look at Romney Care as well, they artificially kept the prices low by not approving increases in insurance policy premiums where they were needed. And that's what's going to happen here. They're going to require certain things to be put into policies. Somewhere along the line, the insurance company has to raise the price. The government comes back and says, no, you can't do that. So there's a dichotomy here that prices generally trend to go up because costs go up, but if they're capped artificially, they won't go up for a while, but eventually they go up exponentially. So if it's either now they go up or they go up later, people lose. It's a lose-lose situation for sure.
Mark, am I correct that lots of folks are getting angry at this? Not just the traditional people that before it passed, before it became active, not those folks that were angry in the beginning, or not even angry is not the right word, they were totally against it. I'm seeing a whole different group of folks, people, some supporters of the act getting angry now. Am I correct on that, or am I just seeing it
that is
wrong?
Correct. Some people who were for the policy, for Obamacare, which is the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, now are completely against it. And they are people who hadn't read the bill before it was legislative law, and now see the detriment and the ramifications it's causing. So lots and lots of people are adding to that as the weeks and weeks go by. Many of the Democrat people are facing re-election, and now they're coming out against Obamacare before they help get it passed. So, yes, we're seeing a lot of that. And right here in Maryland, people were against it from the beginning. It's just the reverse. More people are, and this is a blue state. This is a very Democratic state. In this state, people are turning against it as well because they're not getting the medications they need. They're not getting the access they need. Their doctors are being excluded from the plans that Obamacare has, and or they're leaving in droves. Many physicians are just leaving traditional medicine to set up concierge practices, and other ramifications that we see. You're absolutely correct.
Now that's you took me to a point that I definitely want to get on and jump on about doctors. I've heard rumors. And rumors is probably too strong of a word. I've heard some talk that doctors are going to either not, they're not going to want to be doctors anymore. I'm not really sure what that means, Mark. Does that mean that they're going to retire early? They're not going to get into medical school? They're going to go to another country? I'm hearing that doctors don't want to be a part of this system, and we're going to have a shortage of doctors. What does all that mean?
Why don't you analyze it like this? We have very brilliant doctors right now all over the country. Why go through 11 years minimum of training, 4 years college, 4 years medical school, 3 years of postgraduate training at the minimum to become a physician if it's an economic thing that you're going in to have a better living, doesn't happen at the end point, that you have a chance of being sued. 1 in 5 doctors in a lifetime could be sued by the very, very hungry legal profession. So there's a lot of shadows on going to medical school. Also, the cost structure, it's very, very expensive to go to medical school and spend that time. Many people that go to medical school, they don't have their first vacation till they're 30 years of age. They don't have their first house till their early 30s. Many get married late. Many have problems with marriage because of the long training that goes into it. Many doctors just give up. They're just giving up their practices. So you're going to see a lot of that. The other thing that you need to see is we're importing a lot of physicians from overseas. Many are good doctors. Many come from countries with questionable medical school training. No one examines that here in the government. They're given a couple of tests, and they call them MDs, and they move forward. I just want to make a point. There's such hatred for this book. There is such hatred for this book that people are actually going, left-wingers going up on sites where the book is and writing negative stuff about it before they even read the book to turn people away from reading this book. And I just saw one up on Amazon just now. It's horrific what they're doing because the book tells the truth, and the conservatives know what the truth is. We do, the people who've actually owned and operated health facilities like I have. And to see that kind of very negativity, to block sales of this book for no absolute reason other than as a vindictive process as it moves forward, is an ugly thing that's going on right now, and we see that. So the people that are going to benefit by this policy, probably 40% of the nation, these people won't be paying a dime, so they get the care anyway. They're going to get the care whether medical assistance is expanded, whether Obamacare gives it to them for free or at a very, very reduced rate. But the rest of us are going to suffer. The greater majority of America will suffer under Obamacare. The cover of the book itself tells you what the book does. It has headstones on it and says victim of Obamacare in a cemetery setting. And that was done by a commercial artist who just happens to be conservative. So we know what's coming down the pipe. We know the tidal wave is coming. Phase one was the exchanges. Those went miserably, and they're still going in and being implemented in a very bad way. Phase two is the actual implementation of regulatory structure for hospitals, nursing homes, doctors' offices, clinics, and whatnot. And that's going to be a major disaster, exponential as compared to the exchanges. So you're going to present yourself to an emergency room. There are going to be millions of new participants in the problem, the problems that they're going to bring with them, and you don't get the care, you don't get the access, no matter what you're paying. So it's a boondoggle, we all know.
Dr. Davis, and ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Dr. Mark Davis, Obamacare, the author of Obamacare, Dead on Arrival, and he was telling us that there's some people that don't want you to read this book, and I believe that. And you know, Dr. Davis, that kind of stuff really gets me. I mean, nobody should be afraid of the truth. And let's say if somebody reads Obamacare, Dead on Arrival, and they totally disagree with it, that's fine. You know, if you've learned. I know what you're saying. I've seen that in many instances where people want to hide, don't even mention something because it may poison folks. And we're really, people that do that really sell everybody else short, our intelligence. But I don't want to spend too much time on that. Why were these exchanges, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I certainly could be wrong, exchanges are what? We go into the system, we look it up, and there are groups where we can sign up to certain insurance groups. Is that what an exchange is?
Yeah, let me explain. Exchange was an idea where insurance companies could go out into the marketplace, compete against each other for participants to buy insurance. And the exchange site was a place you go on your computer, you go to the exchange, you see 10 policies, 12 policies, whatever, and maybe this one has it for $350 a month, another one has it for $30 a month. I'm being facetious. But it's the area of competitiveness that you could have as a consumer. You get to compare policies. In reality, that does not happen because the exchanges can't work. Because the information is always being updated, it's always being changed, and the exchange itself requires so much information on you, well beyond what you need to buy an insurance policy. They want to know your education level, your criminal background, yes, your criminal background, your Social Security, if you're getting Social Security or not, your health care background. Too much information is imparted to the government to buy a policy, where before, on the traditional policy, basically you signed up, you may have told them about your pre-existing conditions, maybe not. Some policies had it, some people didn't have it. So that's basically what the exchange is, but as you've seen, the exchanges have been failing.
Well, yeah, I mean, all I hear is that people can't get on, and it's very slow, and I mean, and I have heard that you've got to say how many pimples you have on your left butt cheek. Excuse my, getting into the gutter kind of here. But I have heard all of this. But here's another question. I mean, why are they set up so poorly? Is it set up? Are they set up so poorly because it just can't work this way, or was it incompetence as it was being set up? It can't work. There's no way, or it was incompetence the way they put it together.
Well, on March 23rd, 2010. Obamacare bill was signed. They had over 3.5 years to implement these exchanges. The complexity is overwhelming, number one. I don't think the IT people purposely made it bad, but at the end of the day, it looks like incompetence as far as we could determine at this stage. Remember, it was only introduced on October 1st of this year, so they're still working out the nuts and bolts of this. They didn't pre-test the system at all, and I agree with you. It looks like incompetence, but it's a lot more complex than just being incompetent. It's just too much to impart to a computer program, and it's too much for people like us to go in there and get it. If you're a common person who's not computer facile, you don't get it. You don't go in there. And most people are staying away from it, as you could see.
Mark, my boss, very rarely when he hears when we have a guest on that rattles him, or he really is interested in the topic, he wants to ask a question. So he's begging me he's not really begging me, but he wants to ask you a question. So you're going to hear a deep New Jersey kind of voice here, and he wants to pick your brain here. So go ahead, Lenny Azarone from
a person from
New
Brooklyn,
Jersey.
New York.
Oh, hi. No, okay.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, doctor.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question, just to see what your opinion is on this. People will argue that the reason why this is failing is because it was made to fail, because ultimately what liberals want, progressives want, is single payer.
Yes.
Do you see actually that's how it was structured in the first place?
Yes, it's exactly right. It was a legislative nightmare prior to its inception, and it's gotten worse exponentially. And it is designed to fail, to make it a one-payer system, so the core government, the D.C. government, can and will control all health care in the country eventually, phasing out insurance companies, phasing out anybody who self-insures, and that's right on the nose, sir. You're exactly correct. It was done to make it a one-payer system. Harry Reid is on record in the last couple of months. He's even said that. So, that's basically it. We're going into a fiscal nightmare with it, and not only that was phase one, the exchanges. Phase two, when the implementation goes into effect for a regulatory structure of all healthcare facilities. That is a complete nightmare, worse than the exchanges. So you're right on target. Correct.
Okay, and this is Steve is back. You can probably tell the difference in the voices. Mine is much more refined and no, I'm just kidding. But doctor, I was going to ask that question. So your belief is that there's a method to this literal madness, that they wanted to twist a little bit and become a one-payer system? Is that your thesis?
Yes. We're headed in that direction right now. Many insurance companies cannot provide the elements that the Obamacare legislature is asked for. They can't provide all the care at the prices that Obamacare is pushing them towards. Also, they cannot work under the regulatory structure. This legislative nightmare has more sanctions and penalties in it than it has health care initiatives. And again, it is a tidal wave ready to inundate all of us. It's going to flood us all with less insurance. And at the end of the day, many people, unfortunately, will perish because they don't get the correct care, or they don't get timely care, or both.
Okay. What is a single payer healthcare system? I've heard that. I really don't know what it is. Can you tell me in a minute?
Yes. In less than a minute. A hospital, a doctor, a nurse, a chiropractor, even a dentist, in this case, will be paid by one core facility. The government will designate a payer, let's say Blue Cross across the country will be paying doctors, and that's it. No one else gets paid from anywhere else because there's no one else to pay them. All the other companies perished. So a one-payer system is where you get your check from a central core place, like HHS may be issuing the checks and nobody else.
HHS will be regulating healthcare, will be providing the treatment plans, the guidelines for how doctors and hospitals should function. That is a one-payer system. No one else gets involved. Canada has a paradigm for that, and that's failed, of course, and it's in the book. It talks about it at length, how the Canadian system.
I'm glad you brought up Canada, because I have one of our producers is from Canada, and we've talked a little bit about their system versus ours, and someone just emailed me a question. Hey, how about Canada? And I wish we had more time. We really actually have 1 minute, and maybe we can have you back on, Dr. Mark Davis, the author of Obamacare, Dead on Arrival, because we're really getting into some good points here, and we can talk about this for at least another couple hours.
30 seconds on Canada. You need a CAT scan, wait 12 weeks to 20 weeks. You need an MRI, even longer than that. You need routine surgery 6 months or more out. The book documents it with references, how that's going to happen and how it can happen here. Same thing on the Obamacare, and there's a lot to talk about. It would take several hours to go through all the iotas that are in the book. So I encourage people to read the book and look at the book as a text with information that could help you get around some of the stuff that Obamacare is forcing down your throat.
Well, Mark, I'm going to actually recommend your book, and for two reasons. It sounds like it's something I want to just read, and I want to hear your views on. Secondly, I'm kind of angry at people saying negative and actual lies about it, from what I understand, because they're afraid that anybody might read it. There's nothing.
Correct.
There's nothing to be feared. Truth should never be feared. You look at it, might hurt. It might be bad for a while, but I mean, there's nothing to be heard. We've been talking with Dr. Mark Davis again. Hey, Mark, before we go, where can people pick your book up? You've got a real long website.
They can email me at platomd@gmail.com. That's platomd@gmail.com. You can go up to Barnes & Noble's site. They have it on their electronic board, and they have it in the store as well. Books A Millions has it. Amazon. If you go to Amazon, please put a review up there as well, because there's some left-wingers up there that are knocking the book horribly, and it's not right, it's not fair, and the book is well written, and many people contributed to the book. So it's basically in any bookstore you could order it if you'd like it.
Excellent. We've been talking again. Mark Davis, MD, Obamacare, Dead on Arrival. Might want to check it out. Again, thank you, my friend. We'll be back after a few minutes, and we're going to get really somber here.
Thank you for having me, sir. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, this is Keith Zalley from the WTOE Radio Network, and right now we're going to take a few extra minute break just so we can save our files for our podcast. So please don't go anywhere, because there's going to be more Steve and the Kovacs Perspective in just a few minutes.
Statistics say that 4 out of 10 high school students will drop out of high school. But sometimes the difference between dropping out and finishing is a boost.
I just try to motivate my friends as much as I can. Just get done with that credit. Just get that thing.
If you don't have anybody while you're in school, then there's not really a way to get through it.
I had a very good friend who was thinking about dropping out completely, and I just talked to him about it, told him that it was a stupid idea for him to do that. You know, he's gone so far, and he's only got a year left.
There's one girl named Maria. She just told me to get my things straight. She told me if I ever needed anything that she'll be right there. Even my friends that have dropped out tell me, oh, it's staying in school. It's not easy to leave it. You think it's the best thing, but then when you've done it, you realize that it wasn't.
10 real-life at-risk students are filming their year, so you can see what it's really like trying to get through high school. Go to boostup.org to see their stories and give someone you know a boost so they can finish. High school is hard. Graduating is harder. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
At the holiday party, Chris shows the telltale signs of being wasted. He tells his boss the one about the salesman and the talking bar stool. Laughing, he excuses himself to hit the head. He decides a plant will do just fine. Chris misses the plant. Finished, he raids the company fridge and eats 27 deviled eggs while drinking the special punch nicknamed Rocket Fuel. He makes out with Kathy from accounting. He decides to make a funny holiday card. Sitting on the copying machine, Chris laughs hysterically. He writes, "Happy Holidays from Stinky the Elf." He then yells, "Office parties are for losers."
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many to drive. But what if you've had just one too many to drive? Never underestimate just a few. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Ad Council, and this station.
In the great scheme of things, a minute isn't all that much. Unless you happen to have a stroke. All of a sudden, those minutes count. Minutes that could mean losing your ability to talk. Minutes that could mean losing your ability to walk. Talking, moving, walking, gone. Which is why, if you can get help in time, your stroke can be treated. The warning signs of a stroke include sudden numbness or weakness of the face, sudden trouble seeing, speaking, or understanding. If you experience this, call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost. Visit strokeassociation.org or call 1-888-4STROKE today. A public service announcement brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Know the facts about African Americans and stroke. To join the movement to stop stroke, visit strokeassociation.org today.
Are you stuck in front of your computer listening to our shows? Well, you may be happy to know that you don't have to be anymore. Hi, this is Keith Zalley, your announcer here at WTOE Radio. Of course, you know we broadcast live on throughouryes.org, but did you know we simulcast on Facebook, Ustream.tv, as well as all of our show's host websites? And now you don't have to be stuck trying to catch your favorite show on your computer. You can listen or even watch our shows live right on your smartphone or iPad. During broadcast nights, just point your phone or iPad browser to our mobile site, m.throughouryes.org, and click on the Listen or Watch Live link. WTOE also offers many smart apps for your iPhone, BlackBerry, Android, Windows Mobile, or Nokia phones, iPads too, all for free. Visit our main site, www.throughouryes.org/appstores.html, and download your free app today. And now back to the Kovacs Perspective.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Steve Kovacs. Our next guest is, I want to personally thank for being here. I have lots of guests and lots of great topics. This is a topic that we hear about on the news, and everybody that hears it, I'll guarantee it, other than people that are actually doing similar. When they hear this, they all shake their heads and they go, I can't believe it. And I'm talking about sexual abuse by people of the cloth. And our guest is a pastor, a husband, and his wife was sexually molested by her father, and her father was a pastor. So our author wrote a great book called Tear Down This Wall, and he talks about religion and this sexual abuse and these kind of things going on in religion, and he talks about bringing it out in the open, talking about it, and let's stop it. Let's not hide from it. I think. Let's find out what the book's about. Dale Ingraham, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and I'm lucky to have you because of the topic. Dale, I mean, we hear of this way too often, and your family has experienced it, your wife, and you are a pastor. So tell me, sir, Dale, tell me, first of all, why does this seem to happen so much with people of the cloth, or does it just seem like it's so much?
It's really pervasive. I don't know if it's more pervasive within the church or outside the church. One thing that offenders, I think, find in the faith community is there's lots of children. Most of our churches, most of our organizations, if they're doing children's work, we always need volunteers. We need people to come in and help out. So it's a perfect opportunity for an offender to come in and have easy access to kids. And all too often, when they do offend, for whatever reason in the faith community, people seem very reluctant to want to report it to the authorities. So it's the ideal spot for the offender.
Okay, and that makes sense, but I'm going to take a little bit further here. Your wife, her father, a pastor, molested her, and we'll get a little bit into that a little bit later. And my question, what I'm leading up to, Dale, is that is there a certain type of people that gravitate toward pastorhood? It's probably not a word. or to religion because of that easy access, or because of something else?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that because the easy access is there, yeah, people become scout leaders, or people become youth pastors, or even senior pastors. It gives them, one of the reasons we call offenders sexual predators, they're good at finding prey. And I think what you just mentioned is true. People will go to a particular place or position because that gives them easy access.
You know, Dale, what gets me there though is, and I usually don't tell anybody my beliefs, whether religious or God or whatever, but I do believe in God. And what gets me, Dale, though, is if a pastor really believes in what he or she is saying, how can you grab a 4-year-old or a 9-year-old and sexually molest them? Because, I mean, you've got to know you've probably ruined them their entire life. So, you know what I'm saying? Do you follow where I'm going with this, Dale?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
And to go back to your question, you said if they really believe what they're saying. And I think in most cases we're talking about people who don't believe in what they're saying. They're a shell. They have an outward facade, but in their heart, it's empty.
Well, you just answered something that has been a puzzlement for me for years. You know, whenever I, and I've written on topic of abuse, sexual abuse, and just physical abuse on kids, and whenever I broach the topic, I always ask myself, you know, I mean, how do you do that? I mean, you got to believe. I'm guessing you believe in Jesus or you know, whoever, whatever you believe in your mantra of from the religion that you happen to be in. But you're saying that you feel that the ones doing this don't really believe. They're a shell.
Yeah, I think you have to conclude that when you really take a close look at this and you look at what they're doing. One of the studies that we quote in our material says that this was a 1988 study, that the average offender in their study had as many as 117 victims. That was the average. So the offenders in that particular study averaged out 117 victims. I mean, it's just staggering to think when an offender's doing that, you have to think that they're just a shell. It's just an outward facade.
Well, let me tell you, Dale, what you just said to me is extremely enlightening to me. I've never heard anybody say that, and I'm curious more about your book because you know, it makes me think that you're really into this and you've delved deeply, and that's just it really zapped me there. Tell me a little bit more about your book. What's your book about?
The book is called Tear Down This Wall, Sexual Abuse Within the Church. And I do a little play off of Ronald Reagan's words when he's talking about the Berlin Wall coming down. There's a wall of silence and secrecy that seems to surround this issue, especially within the faith community. And there is such a need to tear that wall down and just drag this issue out in the open. Let's talk about it. Let's have a dialogue about it. Let's help people be aware of the issue. We can't solve it or break the cycle until we begin to understand it. And the first step is really tearing down the wall of silence that surrounds it.
And how can anyone argue with that? My first guest talked similarly to what you're mentioning. He's got a book that many feel is sacrilegious to Obamacare. So instead of throwing it out there and say, hey, read it, let you read it, and possibly, and if I am so against this, read it, and you too will get enlightened and see how I look at it. Instead, many say, oh, it's not here, don't touch it, don't even go there. And it's kind of what I get out of this too, Dale, that, you know, it happens in the church. Let's not even talk about it. Let's deny it. Let's hide. Let's put our heads in the sand, and it just can't work. And you're on a mission, right, to get it out there and talk about it, discuss it.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things my wife and I noticed, we started a ministry about 7 years ago, and when we were talking about our history, both of us grew up in church, and we both graduated from Bible college. I graduated from a Christian school. And neither one of us ever once remember hearing anyone talk about the issue of childhood sexual abuse. I mean, not even talk about it, much less really teach in a substantive way on it. So it's something we have to start doing, even though it's an uncomfortable subject.
I agree with you. Now, you mentioned your wife. How's your wife? How'd your wife get through all this? Where does her mindset at?
You know, that's a good question. My wife's name is Faith, and she's doing really good. She's done a lot better since we started our ministry, because since we started our ministry, she started sharing her story. And I think with victims of sexual abuse, we tend to hold everything inside. And when we're able to share our story or what we've been through or what happened to us, it at least begins the healing process, or it can begin the healing process. And so my wife has done really well in the last 7 years. A lot of people, though, have a lot of survivors in our online community that were so damaged by religious offenders that they've left the faith. They've walked away from the church, maybe not ended their faith in God, so to speak, but they've walked away from everything that they've known.
Well, Dale, how do you not walk away? I've never been abused, but I mean, I could just imagine if I'm being abused for 4 years. I'm from I went to Catholic church and Catholic school. And I've, again, never been abused, but I just could imagine if I'm being abused 3 years of my life by this man that says church and all that good stuff and tells me to love God, love Jesus, et cetera, and then in the back room he's doing this and that to me and little Timmy also. How could I can't imagine me believing in God unless I have some huge conversion, which I can believe can happen, but it's terrible.
Yeah, it's a real struggle, and I'm sure that there's people listening to your program that's where they're at. They've walked away, maybe not from God entirely, but they've walked away from the church or whatever group, where the abuse came from. It's a difficult struggle. The church is hurting itself over and over by allowing offenders to stay in its midst.
How prevalent do you believe it is in churches?
Well, the statistics show there was a 2000 study done by the National Center for Victims of Crimes, and they found that 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys will experience some form of sexual abuse by the time they're 18. So you're 1 in 3, 1 in 6.
In the church?
That's a general statistic, but everything that we're seeing, it's the same in the church as it is outside the church. There's very little difference.
Wow. Dale,
Yeah.
Is there anything that someone can do if they're going to a Pentecostal Catholic church functions, school? Are there signs to watch out what the pastor may be saying or doing?
Yeah, we have signs of an offender are really important to watch for. Anytime you have an adult that's trying to isolate your child, and it may seem like it's in a healthy way, they just want to spend extra time with them, counsel them, mentor them. A lot of times parents aren't clued into the fact they've got to be careful. The vast majority of offenders are known to the child. Sometimes we talk about stranger danger and we warn our kids about strangers, but all of the other figures in our child's life, we tell them, obey authority, obey your Sunday school teacher, do what youth group leader says. And we don't realize we're setting up our kids for the offenders. And it's the perfect place for offenders to go with these kids. We're telling them to trust, to obey authority, and we're creating some of our own problems here.
You mentioned a word I really have never heard anybody say. I've heard people discuss the general area, but you use the word isolation. Whenever someone wants to isolate your child, that's really interesting. That's a key, isn't it?
It is. When you have an adult, and this is a tough one because we want to encourage kids. We do want to mentor kids. But this abuse is at an epidemic proportion, and we have to be smart about how we deal with kids. It's not good for an adult to be alone with a child. And when you've got a youth pastor or a pastor that's always offering to take so-and-so home after youth group, and it's just the two of them, a lot of abuse happens when you've got that isolation one-on-one.
That's something I think people should, and you have an area, a chapter or chapters in your book about signs of an offender?
Yes, and address the issue of some of the signs. There's signs of abuse, but another thing people have to be careful of, and Faith and I have talked to a lot of survivors where these kids are abused in crowded rooms. We're seeing a lot of them at family get-togethers. They're an uncle or a cousin, and molesting kids sitting on their lap. I mean, when it comes to understanding the issue of abuse, we have to rethink everything that we think we know about abuse. It doesn't just happen in isolation, although that's certainly a sign to watch for, but we've got to be alert when we have family get-togethers. One offender can ruin a whole church, it can ruin a whole family, it can ruin a community. We just have to be really alert for it.
Well, I've done a lot of reading and writing on this topic, and you, my friend, if I could call you that, are hitting on some great points. That it doesn't have to happen in a dark bedroom or big closet. It can happen out in a crowded room. I'll bet you nobody ever heard that before, other than people that have been victims. You're talking about groping and rubbing and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had one victim shared with us not too long ago that every time they'd have a family get-together, one of her uncles would always sit next to her at the table. When the blessing was being said, he was molesting her. And it was every time they would get together. I mean, it's sick stuff. It's happening. And because it's so painful to think about, parents have a tendency to want to bury their head in the sand. People in the churches want to bury their heads. We don't want to think about it, but it's happening.
We're talking to Dale Ingraham, the author of Tear Down This Wall. And Dale, I'm looking at you on camera, and I'm listening to you. And I like you, Dale. I'll tell you why. You look like you're just a man on a mission, but not an obsession, which whenever I see somebody on a mission, not an obsession, I listen more close. And I think you're nodding your head. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you also look like you probably don't take no crap. I mean, I think you're probably a great guy, but I wouldn't want to mess with you. I mean, but in the same breath, I can see a goodness in you. Dale, and I'm going to call you Pastor Ingraham now. Pastor, why do so many, you mentioned that, I think it was a girl, that every time they said the grace or whatever at the table, why do girls and guys feel guilty when they're molested by an adult? Why does the victim feel guilty?
That's a big thing too, because almost without exception, the victim feels the shame and the guilt that the offender should. It is not their fault. In almost every case of abuse, the person has some kind of a position of authority. They might be bigger, stronger, older, more powerful, or they're the leader. And kids, when they're faced with abuse, don't know what to do, and they're scared to death. They don't know who to tell, and for whatever reason, it seems to be instinctive that they feel guilty. They feel like it's their fault, and that's almost without exception. And they take that burden, and that's one of the reasons why they're silent. It's embarrassing, but they feel the guilt. They feel the weight.
That's interesting. Yeah, I found that hard to understand, and I've interviewed men and women who have been abused, and the ones that I've interviewed, Dale, where I interviewed a woman that was molested by her neighbor, and the neighbor actually, no, a friend of the family, loved friend of the family, just as you had mentioned.
Yep.
I mean, they all loved him and never suspected him, and he'd actually videotaped her.
Yes.
And then he sold the videos to porn shops, at the time. And then her little girlfriend would come over and play, and he got her in there too. And she is so, and I don't know what the word is, Dale. She said, you could use my name in your book, or whatever I write about this, an article. She says, this is me, this is what happened to me. So it's really refreshing to hear that she's so upfront and she knows that she was a victim. And that's what really everybody is. You're a victim. I mean, you're just so much less. What do you hope to accomplish? Well, you got a bigger goal here, Dale, with your ministry on your goal to stop this? What is it?
I guess the larger goal would be to see the cycle of abuse broken, especially within the faith community. I mean, you think of the faith community and you think that we want to impact the world. We want to make a difference. Well, when we have this kind of garbage going on and we're not dealing with it, and it's going on in our midst, I want to see that cycle broken. And the first step in breaking that cycle is awareness. And at some point here, we have to hold the offender accountable. And almost no one wants to talk about this, but offenders need to be reported. This can't be dealt with in-house, within the church, or within the organization. We have an obligation, a moral obligation, a legal obligation to report abuse to the authorities and actually deal with it, not just let it go.
Is that the big fear for churches, that if we report it to the authorities, or to even, let's say, put out a newsletter that we fired Father John because of molesting? I can't even imagine a church saying that. But isn't it because they're afraid that people will leave God and leave their church?
Yeah, I mean, I think fear is the key word. They're afraid of a lot of things. They're afraid that they're going to, I think, lose money. They're going to lose donors. They're afraid of lawsuits. They're afraid of hurting the name of Christ or the name of their faith. There's all kinds of fear that's driving this silence and the secrecy. When it does surface, we sweep it under the rug, we move people around. But it'd be so refreshing to just see a church and an organization be honest and deal with things openly and honestly. I think that would reassure its members. It would reassure its people that, hey, these folks are taking it seriously.
Well, especially now it would reassure, because, everybody knows what's happened in the Catholic Church. I mean, I'm thinking, I wonder if it's more prevalent there, and if we have time, I'll pick your brain a little bit about that. But everybody knows what's been happening. So now if people are upfront about it, if the leader of a church gets out there and makes it known that we are this and that, we're all for transparency, and if anybody ever abuses the system, abuses any of our parishioners, we will immediately notify people, we'll be on top of it. I'm almost thinking, if, I would like that. I'd feel more comfortable sitting in that pew.
Exactly. Everyone says, even in politics, it's the cover-up that does the most harm. And it's so true when it comes down to abuse. Look at Penn State and what happened with them.
Well, and it is the cover-up. Yeah, thank you. I mean, I forgot that old saying. They do say that in politics, and it is. It's not the. I mean, it can't get worse. It really, the worst that anybody can do to another human being, other than sexually molest them, is murder them. And I've actually had people that have been victims before they've healed say that, no, I wish I would have been killed instead, because it's a nightmare. But I disagree with them. There's always hope. But that's a little bit of a different topic, and maybe your book covers that. But you're right, it's the cover-up. I mean, when you do the bad thing, or you're the boss and you find somebody doing a bad thing, it's terrible, it hurts for a while, but then you can work on fixing it and changing it. So that, you feel, getting it out in the open it can start a cycle of breaking that cycle?
Yes, exactly. And if you look at this thing from the victim's perspective, first of all, if the victim sees that the pastor and the church is going to rally behind them and they're going to be open about it, and allow the victim, when they're ready. Now, a lot of victims are not ready to share their story of what they've been through. They say that the average woman is not ready to tell about her abuse until she's in her 40s. Now, I don't even know of statistics for men. So they may not be ready for a while, but it's so important for churches and organizations to allow victims to be able to share their story when they're ready. And so be open about it, but also, if there's any hope that an offender can change, and I'll tell you, it's really tough. Children are not safe around offenders, but if there's any hope, it's by confronting them, not just moving them around or pretending they don't exist. They need to be confronted, incarcerated, deal with it. It's when we don't deal with problems that they get bigger.
Well, and what you just said was another thing that most people don't say, Dale, because the general consensus on much of this, there's no cure for these people. But I would disagree with that from some studies that you don't hear a lot about. But I mean, it's got to be. You can't sweep it. You got to bring it out. You got to separate them and then look at it in the light of what this person's doing. And go from there. If there's any hope for that person to not reoffend, that is the way. Now, we've only got about maybe 3 minutes left. And again, I want to mention your book, Tear Down This Wall. And you can go to speakingtruthinlove.org. Speakingtruthinlove.org to pick up the book. Can they get the book on Amazon, Dale?
You can.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. If somebody... 2 minutes left. Somebody comes to you tomorrow, Pastor Ingram, and says, I was molested 15 years ago. I don't buy this God stuff, but yet something about your book or something about you intrigues me. Why in the world should I even believe in God, and can God help me to heal up out of this? What would you tell him, Pastor Ingram?
It's very difficult. It is hard. We have a lot of survivors in our online community that are at that point that you're talking about right now, and they're really hurting. And probably the best thing we can do is to set a personal example of love and kindness, and show them the real Jesus or the real God. They've seen something really ugly and horrible from offenders, and religious offenders will pray with their victims. I mean, they're just disgusting. And it's almost like we have to re-show them or reintroduce them to the real God and to who Jesus really is.
Well, I'll tell you, looking at you, because of just your style and your personality, I think it shows that if somebody came to you, you might be able to, you may be that person that can say, look at me, I'm real. Not everybody's fake. Not everybody's not what they appear to be. There is a God. I'm here to guide you with that. You got to believe in me. It's a leap of faith for them too, isn't it, Dale?
It is. Very difficult.
But it's possible. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
If you're one of those that have been abused, whether in a church or somewhere else, maybe pick up Tear Down This Wall. It might have something there for you, and go from there. Dale, I enjoyed my interview with you, very much so. It was enlightening, and I know a lot about the topic. It was still enlightening, so I want to thank you for being my guest. I really do.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you and everybody else, ladies and gentlemen. We will not have a show the last second Wednesday of this month because Santa personally wrote me a letter yesterday saying that he'd kick my butt if we did that close to Christmas. So we're not having that. But in January, we're going to start off, as a matter of fact, in January. Take a look at our website. Go online and look at the kovacsperspective.com. Tonight we're going to have some information about a really kind of a groundbreaking show, reality 1-hour show about what's happening in our urban centers, what's really happening, not what you hear on TV, but from people that are in the urban centers, the crime, the murder, the despair, and what they feel can be done to stop that. Great show on tap. It's been great to have you in 2013. Be good to have you in 2014, so stick around. Happy holidays, everybody. Next time. Bye.
The Kovacs Perspective is brought to you by the WTOE Radio Network at throughoureyes.org. All WTOE shows are available as a podcast. Visit our podcast page to learn more. The Kovacs Perspective was written by Steve Kovacs, directed by Tom Bendewalt Jr., technical director and audio engineer Len Azzarone, Assistant Audio Engineer Lori Viscuso. For more information about the Kovacs Perspective, visit www.allsourcesecurity.com. All words, ideas, and comments expressed on the Kovacs Perspective are those of Steve Kovacs and not necessarily those of the National Federation of the Blind, the NFB Northeast New Jersey Chapter, or the WTOE Radio Network. Until next time, I'm Keith Zally.
You done it again.
That's all, folks.